chaos. Wicked witches. Trusting the unknown. Welcome to The Nonsense in the Chaos. I'm your host, Jolie Rose. So I've had a nice long break. It's been the digital detox of January and February, which I take every year. And God, I mean, it always just, so much happens, doesn't it? In the world in general, it feels like the world's gone even more mad in the time that I've been away. Absolute madness. My life's also gone quite mad. It's all very exciting. So there's a lot to unpack. And I felt like I needed to just jump on and start recording because you can probably tell I don't plan what I'm going to do when I do the podcast. I just ad-lib, which is part of the chaos. That's part of how I work. So I'm much better at improvising and just getting up and speaking than I am having to actually do some work like learning lines, that kind of thing. I'm very excited because I am actually working on a theatre project with some of the women on the island for a competition in Guernsey where you do a one-act performance and yeah, it's a competition. So that's really exciting because I haven't actually done any scripted acting for a very long time, and Mama's plays don't really count. I think probably the last time I did a few plays post-drama school, but yeah, it's been probably not this decade. I don't think I've done anything this decade that isn't a Mama's play. Done lots of Mama's plays, but they're not quite, they're sort of panto-esque, they're not proper acting. So it's going to be really exciting. I'm excited and nervous and feel quite pressured as well because I know that people know that I'm a theatre maker person, but yeah, like I say, I haven't done this for a long time. So it's exciting, and do one thing every day that scares you is, has been my motto ever since the Sunscreen song came out when I was 18. And this is scary, and it's scary because of the people I'm doing it with as well. One of them's the main theatre person on the island. Like, she's got that totally sewn up. She puts on the pantos each year and she makes amazing costumes and props. I mean, she puts a lot of work into it. She does an amazing job. And the pantos here are off the charts. They're so cool. So that's really exciting. And yeah, so I ad-lib, I improvise, and I don't know what I'm going to talk about until I get on here. And I was feeling I've been really enjoying the digital detox. I think in light of what's going on in the world at the moment, my feeling is that we should all come offline because that's the way we're being controlled. And I feel like when all is said and done, the internet was a great idea and it started off with the best of intentions, but it's ended up being the shackles that bind us. And before post and landlines completely disappear, I think it would probably be in our interest to come offline and insist on them being needed, and real money, post and landlines. We need them because if they manage to completely get rid of them, we're really screwed. This world that we're owned and controlled by is completely virtual, which is extraordinary. It's a bit like, no offense to Christianity, but it's a bit like how I see Christianity. We started off by worshipping the things in front of us that were worthy of worship, like the clean spring that wasn't killing us when we drank from it, or, and that we noticed because we're much more sensitive back in the day, we noticed the healing attributes that particular water had because of the chemical compounds that were in it. And then we personified the attributes of that spring and called it a god or a goddess, normally a goddess, and then create shrines to that goddess and had a whole relationship with that spring through an anthropomorphic experience where we'd personified it and then had a deeper relationship with it, which is what I do in sensory herbalism, which is what I learned through the Seed Sisters, and also had been told about by a shaman I'd met back in my 20s who's from the Amazon. And he told me that people don't just go around the Amazon just eating things willy-nilly and seeing whether they die or not. They actually communicate with the plants. And that blew my mind. And then I met the Seed Sisters, and that's what they do and teach. And it's how I relate to the plants and relate to the natural world around me. I personify it, I anthropomorphize it. And that's what our ancestors were doing. And then that got taken and thrown like a stage further into, okay, it's no longer attached to the earth realm. In fact, anything to do with worshipping the earth is now seen as heathen, and we're going to burn you or hang you for worshipping it. We're now worshipping a concept of a human in the air that is just sort of over there. And you just have to believe in it, and it's just based on faith. There's no like healing water or, there's nothing physical for you. In fact, no, we turn this wine into his blood and we'll turn this bread into his flesh. But otherwise, that's the only physical experience you're getting. And then we took it even a stage further with the Reformation, where we're like, okay, now there's to be no images. It's just a book. There's no incense, no pomp, no drama, no stained glass windows, no fancy outfits. It's just a book. And we're just going to sit in a plain room with plain glass and just read this book. And that is what you're going to believe in. And that's kind of what's happening here. It's like we had reality and it was based on a physical world and the physical world around us. And then our leaders realised the powerful effects and possibilities of making reality untangible by fake news and confusion and conspiracy theories and all the rest of it, just to make it so that we didn't know which way was up nor down anymore, and just got completely confused and didn't know who to trust and didn't know which way to turn. And then we've got a complete virtual reality. We've got our echo chambers. We've got our made up personas online. And then we've now got AI. So we're not even dealing with humans anymore. There's no, like, the amount of things that I've had technology wise that have been an issue where I've not been able to speak to anyone to change it. Like when I got blocked out of Facebook over autumn, and you can't speak to anyone and you're just going round and round in circles with this bloody AI and all of that. And then they're going to move further and further towards controlling us. They already do, there's already talk about having credit ratings and things that are all online. So like, if you have bad, well, it's weird because me and my ex-boyfriend actually did a theatre show about this in the early 2000s. It was probably 2003 or 4 or something. It was the beginnings of a theatre show that's massive now, absolutely huge, it's now called You Me Bum Bum Train. Silly name, I know. It's called You Me Bum Bum Train. But back in the day, when we did it, the first iteration of it was called Bum Bum Train. And it was a pretend business conference. So we advertised to all the businesses in Brighton, inviting them to this business conference. And it was all pretend lectures on business. And it was just a bunch of artists pretending to be business people. And loads of people came, like it worked. So we had all these people turn up thinking that they were coming to a business conference. And the talk that me and my ex-boyfriend did was about buying shares in people's behaviour. And so we took a load of really silly photos of us doing good and bad things with these animal masks that I'd got from Georgia. I went on a theatre trip to Georgia, which is the mecca of the theatre world secretly. People don't know about it particularly. But Peter Brook got all of his ideas for theatre from a Georgian theatre company that came to the Roundhouse and did a performance of Richard II in the 60s. And just, the USSR, for all its faults, of which there are many, one of the positive things is that theatre and all performing arts, all of the arts were just completely subsidised by the government. It was all also propaganded, like, the strict rules on what you were allowed to show. But everything was covered financially, and you could get cheap flights from across the country to come and see shows. So the theatre in Georgia was incredible. They could spend as long as they wanted creating shows. Why was I talking about Georgia? Oh, yeah. So I'd gone to Georgia with this theatre director, who's my mentor, and had this amazing time. And I'd come back with these incredible animal masks that were made out of papier-mâché, and they were really sort of Looney Tune-ish, but they weren't any of the Looney Tunes. They had this really all sort of folkness to them. And I was wearing the pig mask, and my ex-boyfriend was wearing the wolf mask. And we just did a whole series of photos of us doing good and bad things. So it was like not crying over spilt milk was me. And then the wolf, like, we managed to Photoshop it so it looked like he was doing a poo on the carpet. And then there's a photo of him doing me doggy style from behind. But me with a fox mask on, but with a picture of the pig, me as a pig in the picture frame. So it looked like he was cheating on me. And just loads of silly photos like that. And it was about buying shares in people's behaviour. So that's what we were trying to sell to the business people, was the idea that you could buy shares in people's behaviour, and if people behave badly, their shares would go down. And that's basically what's now happening. It's totally mad that that's what is actually happening. Where, like on an Uber rating or something like that, if you get a bad rating, then Uber drivers won't take you anywhere. And this has been going on in China for quite a while now, because I remember hearing about this in China ages ago, because it reminded me of this thing that we'd done. So it's what they're working towards, that we'll have our behaviour controlled by our like points, whatever it is. And it's all scary, but if we unplug, then literally it all goes away. It's like kind of the easiest shackles to break, except they're not. And so I've been mulling over and feeling kind of a bit divided about doing the podcast, because I want to connect with people. I've had such lovely feedback from people during the break, and I am on a tiny island, and so I need, if there's things that I have to use and do here that if I was living in the UK I wouldn't, like using Amazon, for example. I try not to, but it's so hard. We haven't got shops over here. We have one food shop with very limited, we've got another tiny food shop, but basically very small food shops too, that have limited amounts of stuff and really expensive. So it's much cheaper for us to buy things in bulk online, and it's easiest to do it from Amazon. A lot of places don't deliver to the Channel Islands. Like, there's just a lot of reasons why I'm kind of forced to be online in a way that if I lived in the UK I wouldn't be. And also, I'm telling people to come offline, and that means you wouldn't be able to listen to my podcast. But that's fine. I think we need to do something about this. And so I'll just keep on the airwaves telling people to get offline. At least be conscientious about where you're, like I'm coming off Spotify, using it and paying for it. I'm going to go on to Qobuzz. They will download your playlists from Spotify, which is great. So I've done all of that, and I'm transferring over to Qobuzz and for listening to my music. And they give more money to their artists, and it just, says, sticks your fingers up at Spotify. And if I didn't live here, I would come offline. I am also sort of considering doing it. It's just, I need to mull it over a little bit. And I've been thinking about it with Beltane as well, making it a website. It was just, then I was like, but how do we sell tickets? This is the thing that's frustrating about it, is that we are sort of trapped in the way. But the more we resist, like using money, that's a really simple resistance that you can do, like insisting on using money. It's difficult, isn't it? Because if the cafe doesn't take money and you want to go to the cafe, I mean, on the ferry over to the UK from Guernsey, they don't take cash. It's a cashless ferry. So if you get on that ferry and you can be on there for 8 hours, if you've only got cash, you aren't eating. You're not getting anything. I think that's awful. That's not right, And they will absolutely have full control over us when our bank accounts are totally digital, because you won't have any physical cash. That is dangerous as fuck. So, I'm very much thinking that we should come offline. But yes, crazy stuff's been going on at my end. We got permission to build a hobbit house, which was really exciting, and we were really excited to do it. We got a small inheritance came through to Diz that he didn't know that he was getting. It was a surprise. And it was enough just, no. So if we were going to build a hobbit house, in fact, we basically ended up realising we couldn't afford to build a hobbit house because that's underground and it needs to be, structurally sound enough to survive being underground. And really, there wasn't enough money for us to do that. We could have possibly just built a small house, but it would have probably had to have been prefab and we'd have had to done everything ourselves. And it was kind of getting a bit like the compromises were mounting up and it was like, oh, we're not actually going to build what we wanted to build. And it was kind of getting a bit sad. And then because this island has a thing called the local market, which stops outsiders from being able to buy any house built after, I want to say 76, but it might be 86, but it's something like that, 76 or 86. It means that all old houses, new people can buy, which is good because they'll need doing up, and also they're the pretty old houses, so that's good. But the newer houses that are better insulated and weatherproof are for the locals. And you can't build new houses unless it's on the footprint of an open market property, and you can only go 50% bigger than what the footprint was. You can't build new houses unless they are local market. And because there was a property that was on the market as its leasehold, which most of the properties here are, the lease is for like 50 years. And it was really cheap. We were able to buy it. So it hasn't totally gone through yet, but it means that we are going to be buying a house and it's going to be much bigger than anything we were going to be able to build. And we've got it for 50 years, which, is probably for life. So it's extremely exciting and absolutely unexpected. 2 years ago, we didn't have a clue that this was going to happen. And it's very exciting. And it's weird as well because we're going to get in there and not have any money to be able to actually do anything to the house. But it's also good nick. It could probably do with a bit of paint and a bit of us adding on our creativeness to it. But I think we'll just do a shout out to the island and see if people can donate their leftover colourful paint to us. And then we can use that to decorate and just do something crazy and wacky and colourful in there. But it's really exciting. It's got a garden. It's in my favourite part of the island as well, where there's definitely an energy line running through it. There was a beacon tree at the top, which is one of the trees that Gordon found when he was here. And sadly, it fell down in the storms. We've had so many storms. It's been horrendous. And this has been a really hardcore winter. And I know it has been for everyone. But when you're somewhere where you're just out in the elements. Like for me to get to work, I have to put on waterproof trousers, waterproof jacket, Wellington boots, and get to work. And I'm soaked. I had to dry my waterproof coat out 3 times on Saturday because I'd just been soaked through to the point where the waterproof coat stopped being waterproof 3 times on Saturday during the day. Really crazy. So we've been properly battered over here, and that's been a lot. I've started a new charity called Sark Island Events with my friend Ellen, who's awesome. And we're putting on events on the island, and we're putting on a couple more festivals next year. We're going to do a Norman-themed heavy metal festival in June next year, and then a folk pirate-themed festival in the first weekend of August, which I'm really excited about. So that means I'm going to be putting on a festival start of May. I think it's the start of June that we're doing. And then, it's the first weekend in June, first weekend in August. I'm going to be putting on festivals next year. So that's a lot, but also really exciting. But the pirate-themed festival is going to be really cool. So I would like Tudor reenactors, call out to all my Tudor reenactor friends out there. Anyone who wants to come over to Stark and be part of the reenactment of Helia de Carteret coming over from Jersey with a group of men, pretending that their captain has died And so they pretend they've got no weapons and they come on with a coffin, and then they open the coffin and all the weapons are in the coffin and they've got the muskets, and then they have a fight with the pirates and then they manage to take over the island. So we're going to reenact that. So I need some musket fighting, gun slinging reenactors to come over in their Tudor costume and fight the pirates. And then we'll just get everyone on the island to dress as pirates, which I think is one of the few things you can get everyone on SARC to do. Dress as pirates, gamble and drink are pretty much the only three things you can get people to do. So going to base a festival pretty much around that. And yeah, really looking forward to that. Got some interesting acts that I'm looking forward to bringing over. And yeah, Beltane's looking good this year at the start of May. So definitely come along for that if you're able to. And yeah, what else? Oh, and my book. So I've been working on Walking with Autumn more, and I am really pleased with it. Halfway through the final edit, and it just feels so ready. It feels so ready for publishing now. I'm excited and proud of it, and it's ready to go. And I have made a good start on Listening to the Land, which is the book about the second pilgrimage, walking to COP26 in Glasgow. Made a good start on that in the creation hibernation sessions that I've been doing. That's been really lovely. So we've got some lovely people lined up to talk to as guests who I'm excited about chatting with. And just I feel very full of beans. It is a 10 year and I'm definitely feeling the 10 energy. And I'm having an 8 year, and 8 is also a high energy number. So I've got all the beans this year. I'm feeling very energetic, and I feel energetic. That feels in my body like that's what's going on. A year of golden, shining alchemy, brilliance, doing all the things and going raw. So yeah, very exciting. So I think probably ready to pull a room. If you enjoy this podcast, then please consider supporting me on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Jolie Rose. This is a wonderful thing to do. I love doing it, creating this podcast and sharing it with you. And I do it as a free offering, as much of the things I do are. And you get to listen to the podcast and enjoy the podcast. But if you're listening to it regularly and you are financially able to do so, it would be great if you were able to make a monthly donation contribution to the Patreon account. For £3 a month, you just are basically saying thank you, which is really appreciated. It's like taking me out for a coffee and saying thanks once a month. And if you're able to do a little bit more, £9 a month means that you get to see the video of the podcast. You also get reductions on courses and things that I put on. And it just, makes more of a difference to supporting me and helping me be able to create this work. It really is appreciated. I'm doing something for you and you're doing something saying thank you. And, it's a really circular, lovely, generous way of doing things. And if you can't afford it, then someone's paying for you, and that's lovely. So yeah, it seems like a nice way of creating work and sharing it. And if you don't have the money to support me, that's no problem. If you're able to tell people about it and rate it and review it and all those kinds of things, but definitely word of mouth, because algorithms, screw everything up these days. So tell people about it. And if you are going to sign up, don't do it through the Apple. If you're on an iPhone, don't do it through the app. Go online and do it, because otherwise Apple nicks like 25% or something, which is stupid and really greedy and totally out of order. And I don't understand why that's allowed. So offerings that are coming up is mainly the Beltane Festival, which is on Saturday the 2nd of May. Get your tickets through Ticket Tailor online. And I'm so excited. I love Beltane. The island's covered in bluebells. It's stunning. It's the reason why I put the festival on at this time of year, because I want people to come over and see how gorgeous it is. So do come, and you can volunteer if you want and help out. But definitely come and enjoy the festivities. And I think that's kind of it for me at the moment. I'm putting on loads of stuff over Easter in SARC, but that's only if you're over here. But if you are over here, then go on to Positivity SARC on Facebook and you can see all the events that are coming up. I'll let you know if anything else comes up in next week's podcast. And yeah, so I'm back and it's nice to be here. Thank you so much for your support. And now on with the show. So the universe today wants me to talk about the sun. I feel like I've already brushed on this. So weather-wise, not been much sun around. It is a wet year. Looking forward to the sun coming out. I think it's going to be a really hot year, even though it's been a very wet winter. It is 10 energy. So this is the rune of this year, really. Sigel, it's a lightning flash, and it means the sun, and it means full radiance, which is what the 10 year is. So as a little recap, the last podcast I did was on this, but as a recap, the 10 energy in numerology, which some people see as one, because you add the 1 and the 0 and it makes 1, but in the teachings that I'm part of, the school that I'm part of, it goes up to 11 and then it goes back to 3. So it goes back to 3. It doesn't go 1, 2. But 1 and 2 and 10 and 11 are quite similar, but it's almost like the low and high vibration of it. And so you might as well not miss out on the high vibration of it. 1 is the singular. It's the I am. It's sort of more Aries energy. It's the stepping out and being yourself. It's the beginning of the journey. It's here I am, number 1. And then number 2 is relationship, love, romance. But the 11 energy in numerology is the journey is kind of towards an alchemical process. And 6, 7, 8, 9 are all sort of clear steps in the journey of turning the lead into gold. And lead is the shit in your life. It's the difficult things that happen. So how do you turn that heavy shit stuff into gold? And that's the journey of the numbers as you go through them. And 10 is the year where the gold happens. And then 11 is the year where it sort of vibrates and shimmers. You know, like in the old, like Batman and the witch. What was her name? That American one where she wiggled her nose and made a little like diggle 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 noise. But yeah, they would have the wavy wobbles when like the scenes changed or whatever. It's like that. 11 is like that. It's the scene change. And so it's vibration. It's like absolute magic. It's the full blown magic, but it's the chapter changing in the book. It's the page turning. It's wibbly wobbly lines and it's vibration. And it's just the full blown highest level magic happening. But 10 this year is the year of absolute golden radiance. It's Leo energy, it's sovereignty, it's bright, shining brilliance and loads of power, loads of energy and brightness. So, and there's loads of crazy astrology going on at the moment. You know, we're just going into Mercury retrograde and there's been a whole bunch of things happening that have not happened in our lifetimes. The slow planet's all changing signs for the first time in 15 years, 20 years, whatever it is. And some of them haven't been in those signs for over 100 years or 150 years. And it just means that we've got loads of astrology that's new. And all of it, pretty much, the last time it happened was during times of revolution, innovation, huge change, huge social change, like the abolition of slavery, but also the invention of the Ku Klux Klan, American Revolution, Civil War, Industrial Revolution, like all of these things all happened the last time the planets were in these same alignments. So it suggests that there is everything to play for. And I am more optimistic now than I was in previous years. I feel like we should come offline, but it's kind of quite easy, like sort of, as I was just saying, easy, and also we're completely interwoven with it. But it feels like it's doable, you know, and I do feel like the Epstein files are going to topple the elite. It's beginning, you know, I like seeing the memes with the first domino going over with Prince Andrew. Some royal family people from other countries have been arrested as well. And I'm sorry, but if the royals are going down, the politicians are going down, the business people are going down, like they are kind of the top of the pile. So, you know, like with Boris Johnson and the parties in Downing Street, they kept trying to brush it under the carpet. They kept trying to distract us with new, bigger, crazier news, but it affected us too much that we couldn't let it go. It was like, no, I didn't get to be at my friend's funeral because I didn't get to be at my friend's funeral whilst you were having a party. You know, people didn't get to say goodbye to their loved ones. People didn't get to, like, such key, important things in the world, in our lives, were happening whilst they were having a party. And so we couldn't let it go and kept coming back to it and kept coming back to it. And in the end, it you know, toppled Boris Johnson. And it was what, you know, pretty much the main thing that meant the Tories lost last time as well. And thank God. And I know Keir Starmer's awful, but we can't go back to the Tories. Anyway. Green Party, yes. So I don't think this is going to go away, because it doesn't matter how alt-right you are, you can't say that you're pro-pedo. I think we can all agree that we're not pro-pedo. So it's going to topple them. It's going to topple them. It's not going to, no one's going to let this fall by the wayside. It feels insurmountable. It's like, how do we take these people down? But it will get to a point where it's just like, no, I'm sorry, you can't. If there's any ounce of democracy or legal system still in place, then at some point it has to be that the powers that be, whichever they are, whoever they are, wherever they still exist, will take them all down. And can't wait. That's great. It's good that it's happening now, because I think there is still some semblance of the old ways. That means that we're able to do it. So we need to keep shining. We need to keep speaking out. We need to keep being strong. We need to focus on our own pixel and make our own pixel big and bright and beautiful, and not worry too much about the bigger picture. There are other people dealing with that, you know, and I was very much a fighter for the big picture for many years, and it's exhausting. And there's only so much you can do. We're not all Greta Thunbergs. We're not all at the forefront. You know, even if you put your heart and soul into that, you might end up not ever really being at the forefront of anything. And so I think just make your pixel beautiful. And by that, I mean divine beauty, kindness, love, generosity, gentleness, you know, whatever it is that you need to do in your pixel to make your world beautiful and loving and kind, and be the person you want the world to be. It does start from within. And we need to be responsible and thoughtful and, you know, do the work. But we need to do it in our lives, and then that will spill and the picture will change. There's enough of us doing it. So believe, because it is possible and happening, and it is happening. So, you know, we've got this, but we just need to shine bright like the stars that we are. So that's what this sign, symbol, rune means to me. And also thinking about King Arthur and dragon energy and the legends of the lands, where I'm heading with my pixel is much more into story and into the stories of the land, and really letting go of reality, because it's gone anyway, as we're all aware. Reality's disappeared in a puff of smoke. So what do we do? And for me, I'm mythology, story, or magic, nature is where I'm going. And so the sun to me also means King Arthur and Belenus, the sun god, Celtic sun god, and the lion and Leo and serpent energy, and it's the fire horse. It's just all these beautiful magical things and legends and stories that are woven into our reality and a part of our reality that we should learn about. And actually, this brings me on to the Chaos Crusade. the Chaos Crusade for this week is I would like you to make a fairy door out of polymer clay or wood and cardboard, whatever it is you've got that you can make so it's sturdy enough to put outside. And I want you to go and put it on a really magical tree, a tree that you love, somewhere where the public are going to see it. So you're just sprinkling a little bit of magic out into the world. There is a hawthorn tree down the road from me that has 2 branches that split and make a yoni shape. So it's literally a yoni shaped portal. And I've called her the Venus tree for ages. And she's a hawthorn tree, which makes her even more magical, because hawthorn is the gateway between the fairy world and this world. And the fact it's got this yoni shaped portal is like, that's fairyland. On the other side of that portal is fairyland. And the hawthorn is the Virgin Mother and Crone. So it's a Hecate tree. She has the virgin blossom in spring that smells of death. So the pissy smell that you get from hawthorn is actually a smell for carrion insects. So it attracts flies and carrion insects. And so it's got the smell of death, but it looks like, if you actually look at hawthorn blossom, it's the most beautiful, delicate little pink and white, really very cute little flowers. And yeah, in Sark, they're known as virgin cunts. And then you have the summer where you have this laden red berries that reminds me of rah-rah skirts, like a fully heaving hawthorn tree is just so sexy. It's red berries and they can get quite big. They can get quite plump, like sort of blueberry size sometimes. And they're delicious. I think they're delicious. They taste to me like avocado. They're called bread and butter. And they have a sort of bread and butter. They have a savoury taste. They're not sweet. Spit the pips out. They're not poisonous, not poisonous at all. But yeah, the pips are just hard pips. But the flesh is, yeah, kind of avocado-y. And the leaves, the fresh leaves are really tasty as well. Both the blossom and the berries, I think the leaves probably as well, are all really good heart medicine. So they strengthen the capillaries of the blood vessels so that the things that you want, like the nutrients and things like that, pass through, but the toxins and stuff don't, which is also what hawthorn does in boundary bushes. So birds and rabbits and mice and things can get through, but cows and humans and horses can't. So what it does literally in the fields is what it also does in your body. And it's such good, well-known heart medicine that doctors prescribe it. Like you'll get prescribed hawthorn berries as a heart medicine by doctors. So this amazing mother heart energy in the summer, and then the winter, she goes completely gnarly and it's just this very spiky, dark death crone. And so you've got this, all the stages you've got, and then you know, there's actually a kind of autumn wise woman stage where the berries are all dry. So you have like an autumn where the berries all dry up and it just looks a bit withered, and then they all fall off, and then you've just got this barren, dark, spiky death crone tree. And yeah, so it's this magic tree, and the druids, it's one of the sacred trees of the druids. And if you fall asleep under one, the fairies steal your brain. So you shouldn't sleep under a hawthorn tree because they do fuck with you. So yeah, it's a magic tree. And I made a fairy door and put it at the bottom of this tree like 2 years ago. And loads of people have left offerings and added things to it. Children leave notes in it, which I reply to. And it's lovely. And then recently, and I can't tell if it's because the storm's blown it away, but it hadn't done up until now. So I think someone's walked off with the door, which is a bit sad. But I made a new one yesterday. So I've made a new one, and I'm going to go and put that back and add it back into the mix. And children all across the island know about this tree, and it's really special. So I love the relationship that it's created with this tree, with the public. And that's what I'd like you to go out and do as well. So make a fairy door to put somewhere out where people will see it. Somewhere that's on a tree that's sacred to you. So choose a tree rather than... I stuck mine to a stone, like it was a flat stone, and I glued it to the stone so it wouldn't go off, wandering off. And yeah, it's a special thing to do. So that's my Chaos Crusade. Yeah, it's great to be back. It's nice to chat to you. I never know what I'm going to talk about. That was what I talked about today. That's what happened. And it is funny just sitting in a room kind of ranting to myself, but I like doing it. And when we move, I'm going to have a studio. I'm going to have a writing studio. I'm going to have an office. I've up until now just got this tiny little, I love my writing desk. I've got a lovely old writing desk. That's what I work on, with my laptop on the top bit, and then the bit that flips down with, the little cubby hole things and drawers underneath, and like old dark wooden bit that flips down. And it's perfect because it's really good for, the heights are all right for my back. I'm looking upright to the laptop, and then the keyboard's in front of me, and it's all brilliant. But it's literally jammed into the corner of my living room. The sofa's right next to my chair, like butt up against it. And then it's just the living room next to me. And it works. It works as a studio. That's why I always record my podcast at night, because the island's silent, so I don't have to worry about soundproofing. No noise on the island. In the daytime there's the sound of tractors, and there's always someone strimming or doing some kind of gardening work. But in the nighttime, it is literally silent. But I'm going to have my own room in the house, and I'm going to totally go wild with making it creative and a magical little space, which I'm extremely excited about. And yeah, so watch this space, more fun and interesting things to come. And yeah, I don't even know who I'm interviewing yet for next. Well, it's not going to be next week yet because I've got a week in hand. But yeah, I need to find a guest to talk to. But I have a few people I have in mind, so I will speak to them and share them with you soon. But thank you for being here. It's nice to be back. Huge love to all of you. I hope you've had a lovely, quiet creation, hibernation, wintry time as well. Let me know. Get in touch with me on Facebook and say hi, or on Instagram mainly. I'm probably more accessible on Instagram. And yeah, it's nice to hear what you're all up to. So big love to everyone, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.